We're more connected on the job than ever before. Text communication, now instant and global, means we're no longer constrained by time and distance. But as a result, our professional relationship and personal well-being have suffered. Despite the adage, business is personal, yet communication has become fixed and faceless, easily misinterpreted, mismanaged, and altogether missed. My guest, Stephen Pacinelli, and I discuss the inspiration behind his book, Rehumanize Your Business, how we got away from communicating humanely, different types of video messaging leaders can use, aspects of effective video for relationship building, amongst many other things. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast, episode 83, Rehumanize Your Business, with BombBomb CMO, Stephen Pacinelli. Welcome one, welcome all to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. It's your Chief Leadership Officer, Scott McCarthy, and it's great to have you here. It's great to have you here regardless if this is your first time listener and you are trying to figure out this whole leadership journey. If you are an intermittent listener and you're looking at, you know what, maybe you're thinking about making that jump from being a follower to becoming a leader, or you're a seasoned leader who's listened to every single episode of Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. Welcome to all of you. It's great to have you here. So episode 83, we're going to be talking about rehumanizing your business, or in general, rehumanizing your organization. But before we dive into my guest, Stephen, and the topic of the day, I just want to quickly remind you that unfortunately, if you haven't signed up, you've missed the early bird pricing for the Moving Forward Leadership Power Goals program. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, that program is now at its full price, but you know what? It's still worth it. If it wasn't worth it, it wouldn't be there and it wouldn't be priced at the price point it's at. So, you know what you should do? If you're interested at getting some goals set, and more importantly, achieving them that you haven't been able to achieve in the past. If you're ready to stop with the excuses, if you're ready to figure out what goals are important for you, then you know what? Go to movingforwardleadership.com/power and check it out. Just have a quick look at the webpage there, scroll through, the information is there. If you want to sign up, the sign up link is there for you. It's all there waiting for you. And you know what? I'm here waiting for you too. So if you have questions, don't be shy. Reach out to me, Scott at movingforwardleadership.com, and I'll be more than happy to help you figure out if this program is right for you, because you know what? It may not be, and that's okay. I don't really mind whatsoever, because not every single program out there is meant for everybody, nor is this podcast meant for everybody. And that's just something you have to accept when you're in my position. But maybe it is right for you, and you won't know until you go check it out and ask the question yourself. So if you're ready to start achieving those goals, if you're ready to stop with excuses, or you're ready to get rid of those barriers to getting to your goals, or putting barriers in to avoid those things that are keeping you from achieving your goals, then check it out. movingforwardleadership.com/power. And that's all I got on that topic for today. So what are we talking about today in rehumanizing your business? We're going to talk about, you'll hear my guest Steve and I discuss the power of video messaging. Yeah, video messaging. Something that really it's been around, but yet not around for some time. It's kind of an odd thing, right? We've had the ability now to record videos on our phones and our computers and every other device we have for God knows how many years, yet it's something that we actually don't do. We seem to resolve to text messaging, but video enables us to build that relationship. And we get into that with my guest today. So who is my guest? Well, Stephen is the co-author of Rehumanize Your Business, How Personal Videos Accelerate Sales, Improve Customer Experience. He's also the Chief Marketing Officer at BombBomb. That's their company. He's a longtime customer and advocate for personal video for its benefits to his sales team, and delivered presentations to more than 1,000 different audiences. So if there's someone who knows a thing or two about the power of video messaging, it's definitely Steven. And when I got the invite to get a review copy of his book, and then the invite to get him on the show, I realized this would be a great topic. Why? Because there are so many teams now that are working at a distance. You're away from your people. You're on the road. They're spread out across the country, maybe the world. How do you build that relationship and keep that relationship tight? This is one great strategy, folks. So that's it. That's enough for me. I hope you enjoy this show. Sit back, relax, and enjoy my interview with Steven discussing how you can rehumanize your business. Steve, welcome to the Moving Forward Leadership Podcast. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I'm excited to be on, excited for our conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks again for the copy of the book. Much appreciated. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to get fully through it, but I definitely got enough. I went through enough to know that we're in for definitely a great treat tonight or today, whenever the listeners listen to this show. What I like to do with all my guests before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the episode is, why don't you give yourself a little bit of background of yourself, who you are, how you got to where you are today, Cole's Notes version.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Steve Pacinelli. I'm currently with BombBomb, which is a video email company. But before I got there, I worked in the technology industry for the past 20 years, mainly in the real estate industry, but have obviously branched out in the past 5 years into different verticals as well. And sold different technology products from CRMs to lead generation programs, and managed a sales team, and then managed an events team, and then over here at BombBomb as Chief Marketing Officer.
That's great. So one of the first things I like to do with all my authors is, what was the inspiration behind the book? What led you down the path of writing it in the first place?
So this book was co-authored with my good friend and colleague at BombBomb. His name is Ethan Butte. And Ethan initially had the idea for the book. And he actually started writing the book a couple of years ago. But it was a book specifically about BombBomb, which, video email platform, was the start of BombBomb and how the founders grew BombBomb. And we were like, after he started writing out, it's exciting for us, but is that a book that, of course, everyone else wants to read? So then it began to shift. And we figured, wow, we've been sending video messages. I've been sending video messages since 2011. What if we took all of our knowledge in how to communicate more effectively through short form video messaging? And that was the book, instead of a book specifically about a company and the growth of a company. And so when we started talking about that together and fleshing out the topics, and we each have a unique perspective, because Ethan worked with BombBomb for the past 9 years. And so he saw all the customers, and I was a customer and using video for my sales team. And so we had this great confluence of stories on a customer actually using a video product and using video in general, not just a product, and then someone that saw so much of it. And that's how we came together, and we're like, this is the book. And then we started doing it together. He's the actual author, as in terms of the typer. He sat down, did most of the typing, but we met each and every morning for 2 to 3 hours, brainstormed the topics, put it out. He would write it in the afternoon. We'd meet again the next morning.
That's really neat. Especially that whole co-authoring aspect of it. Something which I've never even thought about. I don't know if I could actually do it myself. I guess I'm a little bit too much of a control freak for that.
Yeah, well, Scott, if you were in my boat, I went to Penn State, and at Penn State you took English. They had 2 courses for you: the English 15 or English 30. And the smart people did 30, and everyone did 15. And I got English 4, which counted for 0 credits. It was a remedial class just to take English 15. So I'm not the best writer in the world. Ethan, however, is fantastic, and I'm more of a stage guy than a writer, and so it worked out perfectly for me. Yeah,
we're definitely along the same lines there. When I was doing my undergrad at the Royal Military College here in Kingston, which is like your guys' West Point, one of my happiest days was the moment that I finished writing my final exam in English. So I kind of like clicked my heels as I left. And writing is definitely not my forte, hence we're podcasting. And I'm not writing blog posts often. But
and that's a good segue to video.
Exactly. Who knows? There may be a book in my future. You never know. So let's get back on topic, shall we? Let's talk about rehumanizing. And I guess first off, to even understand why we need to rehumanize the way we communicate with people, how do we even get away from it in the first place?
That's because someone decided 25 years ago that our most important communication, business communication, whether it's to a customer or internally, is going to be done through a method of communication that's devoid of personality and humanity, email. And so we became text on someone's screen, and the messenger, the most important part of the message, the messenger, was being removed. And we succumbed to that for decades. And we've been emailing and texting, and our emotions been lost in the translation. The point of our message has been misconstrued. And rehumanizing is getting back to face-to-face communication. Now, not all communication needs to be face-to-face. Sometimes it's a quick update. Sometimes you need to just let someone know something. But there are so many opportunities where a leader in a company or a leader in general wants to communicate empathy and wants to communicate more than just the text on the screen, and that's how we can rehumanize our communication. We can still do it digitally and have all the advantages of quick and asynchronous communication like email, but we can do it in a more human way, and we can get better feedback, better connections, and we can dive deeper into those topics a bit later.
Yeah, for someone whose culture is driven by email, the amount of email I get in a day is insanity. And I'm probably on the lower end of it, which just boggles my mind. And the crazy part is, it's the culture now where people send an email and automatically assume that, one, it's been received by the person who's supposed to get it. Two, it's understood. And three, they're actually taking action on it immediately. It's like, you just type something and hit send. None of that happens immediately.
Well, that's part of rehumanizing too. I love that you just said that, because part of rehumanizing is giving someone your time. And most of our email inbox is full of mass emails, spam emails, and emails that were created by robots. And when you record a personal video, and this isn't using video in the marketing perspective, which we could talk about the differences there. These are short video messages designed to communicate clearly with another person. And when you give someone your time, it's your most valuable asset. And that also falls in line with rehumanizing your business.
So yeah, let's dive down that road. I'm really interested. So what are, in your eyes, your words, the different types of video messaging out there that one could use?
Yeah, so there's two types of main video that people gravitate to, especially business people. You have marketing through video, and then you have relationships through video. And marketing through video are the polished videos that you're creating for the homepage of your website, or if you're like a real estate agent, your video tours, or if you're selling a SaaS product, a video of your product, maybe your customers, etc., where you have high-end digital SLR cameras, you have lighting, might throw in a green screen or a drone in there. And that's marketing through video. It's designed for a large audience. And then you have relationships through video. Relationships through video are done through the multitude of platforms that are available to people today, either through text messaging, through emailing, maybe using Facebook Messenger with their video component in there because they have a built-in video component, and other systems out there that are making video a part of their communication strategy. And that would be the more simplistic messages, like if you are a leader and someone on your team has a birthday, rather than sending them a text message that says happy birthday, or even worse, HBD, you didn't even have the time, to write out happy birthday, but you pick up your phone and you hit the record button right on your iPhone, right on your Android. You don't need to buy a special tool to do a lot of this. You don't even need to have BombBomb to do a lot of this. It's a change in your thought process and saying, hey, I'm going to give this person 10 seconds of my time, and I'm going to connect with them, and I'm going to remind them why they like me. I'm going to make a deeper connection with my employees. If you are doing it within the company, or this particular employee, if it's their birthday, and I'm going to wish them a happy birthday like we used to do 40 years ago, and that was in person. But you can do it right through video.
I love that birthday example because I actually find myself doing that now, just personally, just with my friends.
Yeah.
There was one, his special, the close friends that as life goes on, you kind of drift apart, but still, that they're close friends and whatnot. So when it's their birthday, I'll take the time. It doesn't take that long. Like you said, it probably takes almost as long, not much longer than writing out HBD or happy birthday.
Yep.
Than hitting a video and saying, hey, happy birthday, hope everything's doing great, blah, blah, blah. And the feedback I get from the people I do that with is much more than me getting basically lost in the crowd of everybody else who's writing on their Facebook wall.
Of HBDs. And that's what they get 150 of those, and they'll get one video, maybe two, but I doubt it. And that one video will get that response. You'll get the person to reply to you, which means you're building connection. And that's what's key. Being a leader, you need to connect with the people that you're leading. And that's what it does. You'll get a reply and you'll start that conversation.
So for the people out there who are not necessarily natural at taking videos, who aren't really used to doing video because, oddly enough, it's relatively new, quote unquote new, although I don't think it is that much. What are some aspects, some ways that people can make effective relationship building videos for the leaders out there so that they can, tighten those relations with their teams? Maybe they're working with a remote team that they actually don't see almost ever.
Yeah. So before we get into that, I want to make sure that everyone listening knows that their videos do not have to be perfect.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
The nervousness that you might have before you do your first video, and someone that's, I don't know if this is me, I don't know if I can do that. Because this isn't a marketing video. This isn't a green screen scripted teleprompter high-end digital SLR. This is your phone video. There's an authenticity shiny inversion, and the shinier that something is, the less authentic it feels. It actually behooves you, it benefits you to make mistakes in your video. The mistakes, your imperfections are your perfections, and the little mistakes that you make in your video are why people like you in the first place. That's why they like you. My wife was sending her very first video out, and she had all these products in her hand and papers, and she dropped them all while recording the video on her laptop. And she popped out of the frame and was like picking up all the papers, and it's still recording, and she popped back into the frame, and she was so embarrassed. And I was like, you keep going. And she kept recording, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so klutzy on the video. She got a response back, and actually it wasn't a video back. She got a phone call, and the person on the other end was so enamored with her. She was like, I am so klutzy too. That is awesome. I loved your video. I did this, and this one time I fell. And then after that, she's like, you know what? I'll just buy all the skin. My wife does skincare. She's like, I'll just buy all the skincare products. And because she made a connection there, and it was an imperfect video. So that's the first thing. To any leader that wants to use video, if you're singing happy birthday and your voice cracks, not that everybody's going to sing happy birthday, let it go. If your dog comes running over and hops on your lap, let it go. That's real life. That's what people want to see. So that's number one. But there's a bunch of things that they can also do. What my favorite tip, and it's simple. If you're super nervous and you have anxiety about video, for 15 to 30 seconds before you record, think about something that you're grateful for. Think about a happy moment, because the same part of your brain that's responsible for anxiety is responsible for gratitude, and you can't feel both at the same time. So you'll push out that anxiety, feeling a bit of gratitude and being happy, and it changes your demeanor on the video as well, and you'll be able to record that with confidence in 15 to 30 seconds.
That's a really great tip, actually. I like that a lot. And it's a great story about your wife. I remember me when I first did my first video for the website Facebook page, and super nervous. But now after I don't know how many interviews now, I'm probably up to around 70. Those things are gone. So it also, I would assume, it also comes with experience too, right?
Absolutely. Just like anything else, you're not going to go skiing for the first time and jump on a black diamond mountain. You're going to start on the bunny hill. But the nice thing is, as your listeners are listening right now, even though video isn't new, video for relationships still is a bit. There's not a lot of people doing it. And so if you are the only one doing it, there's nothing to compare you against. And while you continue to be what you think is bad at video and uncomfortable on video, you are just getting far ahead of everyone else. And when everyone else starts using video, now you're going to be comfortable. You're going to let your personality shine through.
Yeah, no, that absolutely all makes sense. What's running through my head now is all the various different types that are out there, and how do you decide which one's best? You have your phone, you have that intent set up, pick a social platform and hit live, because they're all doing live streaming now. So what's the best one for people to use, or is it all situational based?
I would say hit the nail on the head there. It's definitely situational based. If you are a leader, and you mentioned this, which was great, Scott, leading a remote team. We have a lot of people these days. I'm remote. I'm in Philadelphia. And the rest of my marketing team, the other 20 members of my marketing team, are either in Wisconsin or in Colorado. So we use Zoom a lot for synchronous communication. And we use, of course, our own product, BombBomb, for asynchronous communication. Sometimes you need to just convey something more clearly. Sometimes you need to teach someone something. And another element of video, because you mentioned like what platform, it's a little less about the platform in a business sense, because it's probably going to be Slack, email, or text messages in general for business. But there's another way to record video, especially internally as a leader. And if you're teaching and training, and it's not just recording yourself, but it's recording yourself on the screen and doing a screen recording too. And I found, as a leader, it's really helped me to walk someone through if we're building a new website, and I know that this person, I work at random hours of the day. And so I can't Zoom them at 9:00 at night. They're going to leave. They're not going to work for me anymore. But what I can do is I can hit my screen recording, and I can record the website layout that we have, and I can go through and make notes and say, hey, Roman, here's what we were thinking about, the website. I love this. I love what you did here. Amazing. How'd you do that? One thing I was thinking about, what if we change this down here? And I can deliver it in a tone where I am praising, and I'm not typing out an email that says, let's change this down here. And Roman's sitting there thinking, oh my God, he hates that. He hates the website because he can't interpret my tone in a text-based email. I can do it in video. He can see the screen. He can see what I'm talking about. He can hear my voice. He can see my face and know the tone and the emotion that I'm bringing, that not necessarily the critique in, but the feedback.
No, that's all great, great advice and great points. One thing which I did in the past job, I was a squadron commander. I'm still active Army here in Canada, and I was commanding a squadron of 200 folks, and we're having a bit of an issue regarding people's understanding of some policies and regulations and stuff. And I held a big briefing for the bulk of the squadron. Fortunately, my squadron, we couldn't get everybody there. So I said, this message has to get to everybody. So I went and ordered up from our base imaging a guy to videotape it. And then we put it on our internal server and said, all right, for those who weren't there, watch the video. And you know what? That helped big time, I found. And it was something actually people didn't even hear of doing.
Yeah.
It's sad if you think about it.
Yeah, and that's a great story. Every single week after our leadership meeting, so I meet with the other leaders in our company, and the sales leaders and the CS leaders, et cetera. And after our meeting, and we discuss everything that's happening within the company, I send out a video to my team and say, okay, team, here's what sales is doing. Here's the obstacles that sales is confronting right now, or what they're confronting right now. And then here's what they're going to do about it. Okay, let's move over to CS. Here's what CS is doing. And rather than typing it all out, and again, having the message misconstrued, they can still hear my excitement. If sales are down or sales are up, I can mirror that, or I could say, you know what, sales have been down a little bit, but here's what they're doing, and I'm super excited about their plan. And they could feel that emotion and ride along with us in the positivity that we had at the leadership meeting.
No, that's great. And I like we're going to kind of dovetail into my next topic and question. Regardless of what type of organization you, the listener, is in, we're still selling something, right? It doesn't matter if we're in business, if we're in government, nonprofit, whatever. You're still selling something. It just may not be bringing back a revenue return, like a hard dollar return. So what are some ways that leaders can use with their teams for marketing their services, trying to get more clients, trying to get more donations if they're not for profit, trying to get more votes if they're in government, right? What are some techniques and tactics they can use video for those actions?
Yeah, which I love that you brought that up again. We referenced Daniel Pink in the book, and he's not a sales rep, but in the book we talk about how he talks about everyone is a sales rep, and he's always making a pitch to someone for something, whether it's a book idea or a topic. And so it falls right in line. Even though you might not be selling a product, in general, you're always selling yourself, and you're always selling your ideas, and you're selling your thoughts, and you're conveying that. So any time that you want to communicate a new idea from within the company, that's a great opportunity to use video. What we like to say, in general, if there's emotion involved in your message, and if you ask yourself this question, would I say it better if I was face to face? If the answer is yes, that's an opportunity for video. If the answer is no, if you want to give someone 4 steps and there's no emotion involved in those 4 steps, it's like, hey, here are the 4 things that you need to do tomorrow morning. Type it out. It makes more sense to type it out. They can read it faster. They can disseminate the information on the screen faster. But if there's emotion involved, and that can be positive or negative emotion, and it really works well, we can dive into this. Video is much, much better delivering bad news than a phone call or being in person. And I can explain why in a second. Oh. But positive or negative emotion, that's when you want to use video, or when you need to build rapport or trust. So that's the framework that you want to use. Ask yourself those questions, and in any situation, you can decide for yourself, is video the right way to deliver that message? Do I need to build rapport, trust, or is it emotionally compelling?
Yeah, let's definitely dive into that a little bit deeper. So let's talk about those things and building rapport and trust and delivering of bad news via video.
Yeah, so that's actually my favorite one. No one likes to deliver bad news frequently. But,
yeah, I know.
But it is my favorite one because it is so effective. And anyone listening to this right now, I'm about to make your life a whole bunch easier. Here's why. When you have bad news is more psychologically compelling than good news. It takes people longer to process bad news than it does, and that's scientific fact. It takes them longer to process bad news than it does good news. And Scott, if you ever delivered bad news to someone, they usually react in one of 2 ways. Either the first way, you deliver the bad news and you're waiting for a reply and they sit there in silence, right? And they don't know what to say, and they're thinking and they're computing and they're processing. Or you deliver bad news to someone and they do the exact opposite. They fly off the handle and they immediately get irrational, right? And it's because the brain needs time to fully soak in the information and internalize that information. And so an asynchronous video message is so key. And here's a strategy that a lot of people I know, and we reference a lot of these people in the book here. Here's a strategy that they use to deliver that info and have a productive conversation with them after. They will record a video message and deliver that bad news, depending on what the news is, of course. It can't be some things just need to be delivered in person. If it's that extreme, deliver it in person. But if it's bad news about a job, a contract, or something like that, send a video. Don't send a text-based email because they can't see emotion in that email. So you want to send a video. And in that video, they'll be able to see and feel and hear your empathy. And you're going to say, hey, Scott, I'm going to give you a call. Or if you're close by, I'm going to swing by your office, or I'm going to come meet you later on this afternoon so we can discuss what the next steps are. So you deliver the news, and then you tell them that you're going to meet up in 2 hours or tomorrow or whenever that may be, but provide the next step. And then what happens is you deliver that news and they don't expect an immediate, or you're not expecting immediate response, and they don't feel the pressure of an immediate response. And that gives them time to think about what you truly said to them, how it affects them, and the solution that you provided. And they don't need to respond instantly because they're not going to be in the right frame of mind to do so. Then what happens is when you meet with them later on that afternoon and they had time to process, now you have a calm conversation and you are ready to go to move forward on the next steps. It works amazingly, amazingly well.
That's really neat. I like that whole idea. And I think it also works as a mitigation factor, manner too, in that maybe, it's bad news, but maybe it's not really that bad of news. And sometimes when you write it in text, it just, the email or a text message or whatever, it just looks worse than what it actually is. Whereas if you did it in a video, go like, okay, here's the bad news, but the reality is it's not that bad. Just listen, blah, 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 blah. This fell off the rails. The other person is no longer interested, but we have a plan. I'll brief you this afternoon when we meet up. And I think that would help big time mitigate some misconceptions out there. Vice, as you kind of hinted at, if I just sent an email to my boss saying, hey, bad news is blah, blah, blah. In reality, I'm thinking, well, it's bad, but it's not that bad. But my boss all suddenly now has all morning to stew over this quote unquote bad news. Vice.
Well, and stew on it with, and here's the difference. Everyone, when you read something on the screen, you assign a voice to it. Right. And the voice that you assign to what you read on the screen is dependent upon the mood that you are in when you were reading that message. So don't leave your message up to chance for the recipient's voice and their mindset when they're reading the message. You deliver it with the tonality that the message deserves. And that's the key difference, because if they're having a bad morning and they read that message and they don't feel that empathy coming from you because they're reading it in their own voice and they're already angry, then we're not communicating in a human and more effective way.
Right. So what are, I guess, some of the ways that we can make sure that we look human, we look authentic when we're pushing out our videos, whether that's to our teams, to our bosses, to whoever we're trying to sell or whatever we're selling to?
Yes, that's a great question. And the first thing that people want to do is like, I'm going to start using video. I know what I'll do. I'll get a teleprompter, or I'll write down exactly what I want to say on this little piece of paper down here, and I'll read it. And that is the absolute worst thing that you can do, because that removes your personality from your message. And that's what you want to keep intact. That's the worst thing that you can do. Now, if you are forgetful, there's a convenient strategy that you can use when you want to begin using video here. And you have 3 or 4 main points you want to make. What you do is you take a piece of paper and you write down your 4 bullet points, but don't write down any of the words. And when you start that video, hit the record button on your laptop, your desktop, hit it on your mobile phone, and just hold up that piece of paper in the beginning and say, hey, Scott, there's 4 things I want to cover here about the content team that I want to go over. Number 1, and you hold that up in the beginning, and then you put the paper down. What this does is this gives you permission while recording that video to look away from the camera to reference your notes, because 1, they know that you have notes, and it's okay that you have notes. It doesn't need to be perfect. You can look away. But if you don't hold it up in the beginning and they don't see that piece of paper, then you're just looking away while recording the video and not making eye contact. And like, what are they doing? Like, why is this person not looking at me and not looking at the lens? And so that gives you permission. The other tip, and this kind of goes along with it, and we can even dive deeper into a framework here too. But
that's awesome. Well done. For the audience, you can't see this, but he actually has a little whiteboard that says, thanks, Scott, and he has the Moving Forward Leadership logo drawn.
Yeah, it got a little smudge there. It got a little smudge on the top.
That's fantastic. Well played, sir. Well played.
This, in the beginning of a video, now this is, we talked about almost everything we talked about you could do with or without BombBomb. Now, if you are using BombBomb, you can get an animated preview. If you're using another system to send a video, email, there are other systems and tools out there. You could do it manually yourself, which takes a longer time, of course. But they'll have either a still thumbnail, or if you're using something like BombBomb, the video will be playing when it arrives, in their inbox. And so what I like to do is hold something up that's unique and personal, just like this for Scott. And it says, "Thanks, Scott," with the logo and everything on there. And I hold it up right there in the beginning. And then what that does is when you receive the message, Scott, just like you laughed right there, you know that this wasn't a robot that sent it out. You know that this is a personal message just to you. And that's a great way to start your videos. So you can have the bullet points so you know what to say. Use a little whiteboard with a little message on it, and you will get face-to-face with more people more often that way.
That's fantastic. I love that, and well played for sure. Awesome. As Steve, this has been a great conversation, but slowly as we wind down here, just a couple last questions for you, and one is that I ask all my guests, and that is to you, Steve. What makes a great leader?
What makes a great leader? I think empathy. I don't know how many times that's been said in previous episodes there, but I can't think of a better trait to have for a leader than empathy. Because if you can put yourself in someone else's shoes, then you can navigate any conversation to mutual benefit. And mutual benefit can mean multiple things. It doesn't have to be, even if you are firing someone, it still can be a mutual benefit, for each party. But without empathy and without being able to put yourself in your employee's shoes and feel what they're feeling and show that you understand, then you'll never truly connect with someone.
No, that makes absolute sense. And it's probably been mentioned a few times, but not as often as what you probably would think. Yeah. I get quite a range of responses to that question. Actually, it's really neat. Finally, so how can people reach out to you? Where can they find the book? Where can they find BombBomb? All those great things. Feel free to give yourself a shameless plug. It's all for you right now.
Awesome. Yeah. So the book can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, the airport bookstores now. So it's called Rehumanize Your Business: How Personal Videos Accelerate Sales and Improve Customer Experience. It's written for anyone that sells anything. And like we talked about, we're all we're salespeople. So you can check that out on Amazon, run a search for it. If you're interested in BombBomb, we supply a service that gets you face-to-face with more people more often. We want to make email as warm, personal, and as effective as a face-to-face meeting. And that's what we do there. And we work in Gmail and Outlook, and we allow you to track your videos so you know who's consuming your messages. And we provide the easiest platform for recording and sending. And you can check that out at BombBomb.com.
Awesome. For the audience out there, it's always easy for you guys. Just go to the show notes, and all the links will be there, including a screenshot of Steve holding up his sign that says, "Thanks, Scott."
Nice.
Awesome, man. It's been a great chat. It's a really great book for the audience out there. The parts that I've gotten through so far, it's definitely worth your while to go ahead and grab a copy, because you know what? Email, it does take the humanity out, and leadership is all about connecting with humans, right? And that's
Absolutely.
what we need to do more of that, I feel. So thanks again for writing it, inspiring and helping Ethan to write it, being the face of it on the show. It doesn't matter. And most importantly, thanks for taking your time to come out and talk to the audience today.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I enjoyed my time with you.
So hope you guys enjoy that show. What do you think? Pretty easy and neat topic. One that, kind of makes you scratch your head, go, why haven't we been doing this already? Why don't we do this now? And I'll let you know something. I'll let you in on something. I've been doing this since this interview, about a month ago. And I will tell you, the feedback has always been positive. I've yet to get a negative feedback in just shooting people a video. And I often do this now. Once I inform my guests that their podcast episode is live the day of the launch. So for example, today, the release of this podcast, I will send Stephen an email or a message on Facebook or a message on LinkedIn and saying, hey, your podcast episode is live. You can grab the link at movingforwardleadership.com/83, which is the show notes for this in case you didn't realize. And I also follow up with a personal video saying, hey, thanks for coming on the show. It's been well received. I hope you enjoyed being out there. And if you don't mind, please take the link as I emailed you and feel free to share it with your audience because I think it would help them as well. And the response I'm getting from that is outstanding. So Stephen, if you're listening to this, which I think you are, thank you. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for the interview. And I'm sure by the time you actually hear this, you would have gotten or seen the video that I've sent you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. Remember to always, if you enjoy this show, you enjoy this episode, R²S², rate and review the show so that I and my guests like Stephen today can help other leaders become better leaders. And sometimes that's through using video. Share this with someone who you think may be out of touch with their team, who is working with a remote team or is constantly on the road, who could use this information. Share it with them. Shoot them a message, shoot them an email, Facebook message, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just share it with them and say, hey, check out this episode. And then finally, if you're not already, you should be subscribed so you don't miss another episode. And if you don't know how, just simply go to movingforwardleadership.com/subscribe. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on, what app you use. It just does not matter. The links I have on that page will enable you to subscribe via your app of choice, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play Music, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't matter. Just go there, hit the link, and it will enable you to subscribe via your favorite podcast player. All right, folks, that's it for now. As always, stop bossing and start leading. Take care now.